Don't call me. I need time. That was the full message. For words, one instruction. She sent it at 6:03 p.m. Our dinner reservation was at 6:30. The confirmation email was still open on my laptop. 2 seats. Window table. Anniversary banner in the subject line. I stared at her message for 5 full minutes, like the screen might crack and reveal a punchline behind it. It didn't. I didn't reply. I didn't ask why. I didn't even breathe right. My hands were still holding the little gift bag I'd just finished tying with silver ribbon. The contents? 2 tickets to Maine. The same bed and breakfast where we went before we got married. She said once it was the first place she ever felt safe. I didn't delete her message. I didn't scream into a pillow. I just placed the bag on the kitchen counter, turned off the lights, and sat on the edge of the bathtub for 27 minutes. She wasn't home. Her coat was gone. The wine glasses were in the sink, used. Not by me. At 7:10, I heard a ping from her tablet in the other room. Same message, different platform. Except this time, I saw the preview of the conversation underneath it. There was a name. Not mine. No initials. Full name. Gideon. Gideon said, "You told him?" She replied, "Sort of." I said I need space. It's a start. It wasn't a start. It was the end. I just hadn't known it yet. But I know something she doesn't. Gideon's not who he says he is. And she just made the biggest mistake of her life. I didn't sleep that night. Not even a blink. I sat on the couch with the tablet in my lap, reading every single message between them. It didn't take much. She never logged out. I guess she trusted me too much. Or maybe she just stopped thinking about me entirely. Their messages weren't what I expected. No love confessions. No soulmates. It was mostly logistics. Meeting up when I'd be working late. Sharing hotel addresses. One particularly careless exchange from 3 weeks ago said, "Make sure Wally's still at that conference before you come over." The worst part? I wasn't even at a conference. I was at my sister's helping her fix her fence. My wife just didn't want me around. But here's where it got strange. There was a video. She sent it to him. It wasn't explicit, YouTube safe, definitely. Just a 10-second clip of her walking into our bedroom, smiling, holding a bottle of wine. She says, "Room service just got better." Then she winks. She never winked at me. Ever. The timestamp? It was the same night I stayed up late fixing her mom's printer remotely over Zoom. I remember because I missed the ending of a movie we were supposed to watch together. She told me it was fine. We'll watch it next week. She never pressed play. My chest felt like it had been hollowed out with a spoon. But I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was curious. This Gideon guy, something about him didn't sit right. His texts were off. No slang. No emojis. Every sentence had a period. And his replies? They were too fast. Like, unnaturally fast. I copied his number. Ran it through a few online tools. Nothing came up. Then I dug deeper. You know those burner apps people use for cheating? Yeah. Well, one of them had a breach about 6 months ago. Someone dumped the data. It's out there if you know where to look. Guess what? His number matched one of the leaked profiles. Except the profile picture wasn't him. It was stock. Reverse image search pulled it up as smiling businessman on laptop, used in over 200 ad campaigns. That's when I realized Gideon isn't real. Or rather, he's not who she thinks he is. She's cheating on me. With someone pretending to be someone else. And I wasn't going to stop her. I was going to help her fall even deeper. And then pull the rug out from under both of them. The next morning, I made her coffee just like I always did. Oat milk, no sugar, too much cinnamon. I placed it in her favorite mug, the chipped one from Catalina Island with the faded red heart. She walked into the kitchen like nothing happened, wearing one of my hoodies, scrolling her phone. "Thanks," she said, taking the mug, not even glancing at me. I wanted to ask her where she was last night. I wanted to scream, cry, beg for honesty. But instead, I just smiled like a fool and said, "You're welcome." My voice cracked halfway through it. She didn't notice. I sat across from her pretending to read the news. She scrolled Instagram like always. She laughed at something. I studied her face. No guilt. No hesitation. Not even the ghost of doubt. And that's when I knew I was invisible to her. Just a placeholder. An old piece of furniture she didn't care enough to move, but also didn't have the heart to throw away. But she wasn't just cheating. She was being played and didn't even know it. Later that day, while she was in the shower, I opened her tablet again. More messages from Gideon. He said he missed her. He asked if she liked the gift. She responded, "You're naughty." followed by a heart emoji. I didn't even know she used emojis. She always told me they were immature. I checked the tracking link he'd sent her. The gift? A necklace. It had been delivered 2 days ago, signed by her. I found it in the top drawer of her nightstand. Still in the box. She hadn't even worn it. Interesting. Either she didn't want to get caught, or she didn't care enough to pretend. But I wasn't interested in the jewelry. I was interested in Gideon. So I set a trap. I used one of my dummy accounts, old Reddit burner with a VPN and a fake name. I sent a message to the burner number she thought was his. Something casual. Hey, saw your ad on the Poly meetup board. Still selling those photo sets? 5 minutes later, I got a reply. Which kind? I froze. This wasn't some guy from her job. This wasn't even someone real in the traditional sense. This was a hustler. A scammer. Someone who made money off of lonely women. I dug into the metadata behind the delivery receipt, and guess what? The sender's email domain was attached to a private Shopify store selling custom experiences. It was registered to a generic LLC out of Nevada. It hit me like a slap. My wife is being emotionally blackmailed by a fake man who's taking her money, playing her heart, and stringing her along. And all this time, she was willing to throw our life away for him. I had 2 options. Option 1. Confront her, expose the scam, beg her to stay, cry while she promises she was just confused. Option 2. Let it all burn, and make sure she was the one holding the match. Guess which one I picked? I didn't eat much that week. Couldn't. Every time I looked at food, I thought about the meals I'd cooked while she was texting him under the table. All the time she said she was just tired when she really just didn't want to look me in the eye. And every fake kiss on the cheek when I left for work. All the while she was probably counting the hours until I was gone. It made me nauseous. But I had a plan now. A quiet one. No yelling. No dramatic fights. Just observation. Action. Patience. She thought I was clueless. But I was listening now. Watching everything. On Friday, she said she had a networking event downtown and wouldn't be home until late. I nodded and wished her luck. She kissed me on the forehead and said, "Don't wait up." As soon as she left, I pulled up the delivery logs from our security cam system. She hadn't called a rideshare. She got into a silver SUV that wasn't registered to her work. The license plate led me to a car rental company. I filed that away. 2 hours later, her phone pinged with a location update. She forgot to disable location sharing on one of our synced apps. Classic mistake. I followed the signal. She wasn't downtown. She was across the bridge, in a low-end motel near the highway exit. I didn't go there. I didn't need to. Instead, I ordered flowers. Roses. A big, over-the-top bouquet. With a card. I know what you're doing. He's not who you think. Enjoy your night. It's one of your last. I signed it Gideon. I paid extra to have it delivered that night to the motel's front desk. I included her real name. The guy at the motel called up the room. I know because I called him afterward, pretending to be her assistant. I asked if the flowers arrived. He said, "Oh yeah." She looked freaked out. Slammed the door. Good. Let the walls start to close in. When she came home the next morning, her face was pale. She didn't say much. Just went straight to the shower. I watched her through the cracked door, sitting on the floor under the water, motionless. For a moment, I almost felt something like sympathy. But then I remembered the way she smiled at her phone last Tuesday. The way she laughed into it like it meant something. I started step 2 that night. Using one of the scammer's other aliases I found in the data leak, I sent her a new message. "We need to talk. Something's happened. I'll explain soon. Don't text back. I'll reach out when it's safe." Then I made her wait. A day. 2. 3. She unraveled faster than I expected. She started pacing, checking her phone constantly. She barely touched her food. She kept asking me random questions, like she was trying to gauge whether I knew something. I played dumb. I asked if she was okay. I offered tea. I even gave her a shoulder rub while she stared into nothing. Then on day 4, she cracked. She sat across from me, holding her phone like it was a grenade. Her voice was small. "Wally, if you ever felt like I was pulling away or acting strange, I just want you to know, I've been going through something." I raised an eyebrow. "What kind of something?" She hesitated. Her thumb tapped the side of her mug. "It's complicated." I just nodded. I didn't say a word. I let the silence stretch until it became unbearable. She couldn't admit it. She wouldn't admit it. Because admitting it would mean facing what she did. Admitting it would mean she was the fool, not me. She thought she was in control. She didn't realize she was already standing at the edge, and I was just waiting for the right moment to give her the final push. By the end of the week, she had started doing things I hadn't seen her do in months, asking how my day was, folding the laundry instead of leaving it in a pile, sitting closer to me on the couch while we watched shows she never used to care about. She was trying, or pretending to, but I knew what it was. Guilt, not love. Fear that the lie she built was collapsing, that maybe Gideon was slipping through her fingers, that maybe her two worlds were about to crash into each other, and one of them was going to flatten her. She didn't know that I had already dismantled most of the facade. Slowly, quietly, I tracked the burner accounts. I reached out to one of the real women who had posted on a forum last year about being scammed by the same profile. Same photos, same story. Corporate guy, traveling a lot, emotionally deep, wears a watch from Portugal, says he's divorced but distant. Sounded familiar. She had been taken for nearly $5,000 before she figured it out. My wife hadn't lost that much yet, but she had sent gifts, including a pair of AirPods and something from a luxury skincare site. I found the receipts. But what kept me up at night wasn't the cheating. It wasn't the money. It wasn't even the betrayal. It was how easily she gave up on us. 6 years together. We'd built a life. We had shared playlists and matching keychains and a Google Calendar color-coded for our dreams. She used to call me her safe space. And she traded that for a guy who didn't even exist. She fell in love with a ghost. And I decided it was time for the ghost to haunt her back. I crafted an email using one of Gideon's burner-style addresses, formatted to match his tone, short, careful, emotionally manipulative. I made sure it landed in her inbox at exactly 2:14 a.m. Just late enough to suggest panic, just early enough to feel deliberate. I've made a mistake. I can't keep doing this. You were never supposed to get hurt. I care about you more than I should. But someone's watching me. I think Wally knows. I'm sorry. I stayed up and waited. She opened the email at 2:17. I heard her phone buzz and watched the hallway light flick on. She didn't come back to bed for almost an hour. The next day, she barely looked me in the eyes. Her hands were shaking as she made toast. She asked if I was happy, just out of nowhere, like it wasn't too late to start pretending. I just smiled. Happier every day. Later that afternoon, I found her crying in the guest bathroom. She said it was because of work stress. Sure. Then, 2 days later, she finally cracked. I came home from the grocery store, and she was sitting at the table with her phone in both hands, like she was trying to crush it. Her voice trembled. Wally, can we talk? I played dumb again. Of course. She swallowed. Her lips were dry. She couldn't even meet my gaze. Have you ever felt like you were living two lives at once? I nodded slowly, waiting. Like, one part of you is safe and calm and normal, and the other part is just electric. Like nothing makes sense, but somehow it feels more real. She wanted me to sympathize with her betrayal. She wanted me to validate it, give her an easy exit, make it about her feelings, not her actions. I just stared at her, silent. And something about that silence broke her even more than if I had screamed. She started to cry again. Loud, ugly sobs. Guilt and fear and confusion all pouring out of her. I didn't mean for it to happen. I didn't plan it. He just made me feel alive. I let her sit in that moment. Let her confess just enough without giving her a resolution. She was drowning in her own choices, and all I had to do was let the tide carry her out further. But I still hadn't shown my cards. Not yet. She thought coming clean would give her control again. She had no idea that I had already rewritten the ending, and I was just getting started. I didn't comfort her. That was the first thing that shook her. She cried in front of me, big, ugly sobs, the kind that used to make me drop everything just to hold her. And I just stood there, calm, still, watching. She was waiting for me to rescue her, to say something like, "It's okay, we can fix this." But I didn't. I only said 4 words. When did it start? She blinked through the tears like I'd slapped her. She wasn't ready for that. I could see the war inside her. Half of her wanted to downplay it. The other half wanted to spill everything to prove she was still a good person. It wasn't serious at first, she said, her voice thin. It just felt like talking. I didn't think it would go anywhere. Until it did, I said flatly. She nodded. Her shoulders collapsed inward. I swear, I never meant to hurt you. And there it was. The classic line. As if intentions mattered. As if betrayal only counts when it's deliberate. I stayed quiet. That silence, It shredded her more than shouting ever could. He made me feel wanted again, she whispered. I don't even know if he's real anymore. He stopped replying a few days ago. And the message he sent, it scared me. I looked at her carefully. What scared you? That he might not be real, or that I might know? She flinched. That was the first time she realized I wasn't clueless. Her lip quivered. Do you? No. I just smiled. What difference would it make if I did? She didn't answer. She looked like she was trying to breathe through a hurricane. She had finally understood that I was no longer the man she had stepped on and forgotten. I wasn't broken anymore. I was something worse, awake. Later that night, she was in the shower again. Her new ritual, like she could wash the guilt off her skin. I sat on the couch with her phone in my hand. She had left it unlocked, probably too shaken to remember basic paranoia. I scrolled back through every message, every picture, every dirty little secret. But I wasn't looking for more proof. I already had enough of that. I was looking for something I could use. And then I found it. An email from her personal account, sent a month ago. A request for a temporary leave of absence from work. She'd told me they were downsizing, that she was being let go for a bit. But that was a lie. She took the time off voluntarily. Why? I scrolled further and found the answer. An Airbnb booking. 7 nights. Booked under her maiden name. Location? A small coastal town, 2 hours away. Check-in was supposed to be next week. She had planned an entire trip with Gideon. Except Gideon wasn't real. And now, that trip would still happen. Just not the way she imagined. That night, I created a brand new email address. One that matched the writing style and habits of the fake man she thought she loved. I even matched the signature, G. I sent her a short message. I'm sorry for the silence. There are things I need to tell you. Let's meet. Same place. Same time. No phones. Then I sat back and waited. She read it at 3:01 a.m. By 3:04, she was sobbing in the kitchen again, phone clutched to her chest like a lifeline. I didn't ask. She didn't explain. But I saw the flicker of hope in her eyes the next morning. She started humming while brushing her hair. She spent an hour picking out outfits. She even baked something, a rare occurrence. She thought redemption was coming. She thought the man who lied to her, stole from her, and disappeared was finally going to make her feel whole again. She had no idea who would really be waiting for her at that cottage. But I knew one thing. She wasn't walking out of that place the same person. And neither was I. She left early. Too early. She was trying to act normal, but she couldn't help herself. Her bag was already packed when I got up. The coffee was untouched. Her smile was stiff, crooked at the corners. She kissed me on the cheek, called it a self-care weekend, and said she'd be back Monday. I asked, "Need me to feed the plants while you're gone?" She blinked, didn't expect me to remember something so trivial. "Sure," she said. Then she left. And just like that, the lie had a full tank of gas and 2 hours of highway ahead of it. I waited 5 minutes, grabbed my jacket, and followed. Not close, not obviously. I gave her space. Let her believe she was alone with her secrets. She never noticed the second car 2 blocks behind. The Airbnb was a quiet little cabin near a cliffside trail. Private. Romantic. A place meant for whispered lies and tangled sheets. She parked, got out, looked around. She wore a soft beige coat. New. Probably bought just for him. Her hair was done, makeup subtle. She sat on the front step, checking her phone every 30 seconds. Every time the wind picked up, she hugged herself like it wasn't the cold that was hurting her, but the silence. She waited for over an hour. Then she got up, started pacing. And that's when I walked out from behind the trees. She didn't see me at first. I stayed quiet. Let her mutter to herself, probably rehearsing whatever speech she had planned for Gideon. Then I stepped into view. Her entire body jerked like I'd fired a gun. "Wally." Her voice cracked. I didn't answer. Just walked toward her, slowly, hands in my pockets. She took a step back like she wasn't sure if she should run or fall to her knees. What are you doing here?" I tilted my head. "I could ask you the same." Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. She stared at me like she was watching a glitch in the universe. "I thought you were home," she finally whispered. "I thought you were at a yoga retreat." Silence. She wrapped her arms around herself. Her eyes darted past me, like she still expected someone else to arrive. "Waiting for someone?" I asked. "No," she lied. Instantly. Automatically. I nodded slowly. "Because I think you are. Or at least you were." "Wally." I pulled the folded printout from my coat pocket and handed it to her. She hesitated, then took it, Her hands shook as she unfolded it. It was the email, the fake one I'd sent as Gideon. She looked up at me, eyes wide, mouth trembling. You? I stepped closer. I told you. I know everything. Her knees buckled slightly. She sat down hard on the porch step, the paper falling into her lap. She was shaking now, real fear finally crawling up her spine. You lied to me, I said quietly. Every day, every night. You handed our marriage to a man who didn't even exist. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't mean. Don't. I cut her off. My voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. You meant to do all of it. The messages, the gifts, the motel. You planned this trip. You created a fantasy and buried me underneath it. I didn't know he wasn't real, she whispered. That's what broke me. That she still cared more about being conned than about what she'd done to me. You were so desperate to escape us, you didn't care where you landed, I said. You just wanted it to feel exciting. She wiped her face, mascara now dripping onto her coat. Wally, please. I was lost. I wasn't myself. No, I said. You were exactly yourself. For the first time. And now came the hardest part. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the manila envelope. Inside were the divorce papers. Already signed on my end. Neatly printed. Clean. No drama. Just the end. I placed them next to her on the step. She stared at them like they were a live grenade. I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to beg. And I'm not going to ask why, I said calmly. You made your choices. And now I'm making mine. Wally, don't do this, she said, rising to her feet. We can fix this. I'll go to therapy. I'll block every number. I'll delete everything. We can start over. I took a step back. I already did. Her face twisted. Please, I don't want this to end like this. But it already had. This was never going to end with forgiveness or healing or some Netflix-style redemption arc. Because this wasn't just betrayal. It was abandonment. With intent. With planning. With weeks of cold silence hidden behind fake laughter and fake love. So I turned. Walked back to my car. Behind me, I heard her sobbing into the wind, calling my name like it still had power over me. But it didn't. Not anymore. It's been 6 months since that day on the porch. Sometimes I still see her face in my mind, the way it crumbled when I handed her the envelope. But the sound that stuck with me the longest wasn't her crying. It was the silence after. The weight of finally being done. I moved out 2 weeks later. She stayed in the house. I didn't want it. Too many ghosts in the walls. Too many dinners eaten in quiet resentment. Too many fake smiles. I found a small apartment downtown. It's not fancy, but it's mine. The first night I slept there, I left the windows open and listened to the city instead of her shallow breathing beside me. For the first time in years, I didn't wake up exhausted. The divorce went through without much pushback. I think a part of her knew there was nothing left to fight for. She offered apologies in carefully worded emails, most of which I didn't respond to. Not out of cruelty, but out of self-preservation. She asked once if we could stay friends. I said no, because friends don't lie for months. Friends don't hollow you out and leave you wondering if love ever meant anything. And I've stopped wondering. I've started doing small things again, things I used to love. Cooking for myself. Actually tasting the food. Long walks with no destination. Rebuilding a playlist without skipping every song that reminded me of her. I started therapy. I didn't want to, at first. Thought it made me weak. But I realized I'd spent years swallowing silence, pretending I was okay, smiling through wounds no one saw. Therapy didn't fix me. It reminded me I was never broken. And the best part? I've started laughing again. Not that nervous laugh I used to use when something hurt. Real, stupid, honest laughter. At podcasts. At the old man at the bookstore who told me I looked like a melancholy detective. At my own terrible attempts at yoga. I met someone new last week. We're not dating. Just two strangers who ended up at the same little coffee shop during a rainstorm. We talked about books. About places we've never been. About nothing, really. And it was the best conversation I've had in years. Because it was real. There's no big twist here. No revenge. No grand revelation. Just peace. Hard-earned. Quiet. Sacred. She asked for a break. And I gave her one. But the real freedom was mine.